Hello, all my crafty people out there. It is time for our weekly project. If you haven't been here before, my name is Stephanie and I upcycle clothing. Generally things I find at my local thrift stores, sometimes at estate sales, and we make new clothing, accessories, or something in between. So, all that being said, this week is going to be another lovely 30-minute or less type of project that you can whip out really quick, and it's great for the summer, or honestly, this could transcend throughout the months of the year because you could wear it anytime depending on what you make it from. What I have is this beautiful silk scarf that a coworker asked me to modify. I think her words were, just cut a hole in the middle so I can put it over my head. Okay, well, we all sew, or most of us sew, so we know that you don't just cut a hole and put it over your head. Now, this is a pretty scarf. It's silk. It belongs to somebody else. All reasons for me to test run a process. So what I have is this pretty scarf that I thrifted for $2.99. And it's a beautiful black and blue Hawaiian print. And I think those are called hibiscus, I think. Anyway, we're going to make this into a summer kind of like it could be a top if you wanted to wear tights with it or something like that. It could be a bathing suit cover up. It could just be fun to wear to the next party. So we're going to be cutting a hole in it for the neck, but doing it a little more professionally. So if you would like to follow along, if you want to like, subscribe, let me know what you think, and I will catch y'all over at the table. Okay, before we start this project, first of all, I want to let you know that I'm going to be making a boat neck. I don't want a perfectly circular neck in this particular top that I'm going to be making. We will use a circular neck on the scarf, but on this neck, I just want it to be elongated, more like a boat neck, because there will be a definitive front and back and sides to this. That will be able to turn all the way around. Now, the thing you need to do is you need to figure out what will fit over your head comfortably, because this particular fabric, at least on this scarf, has no stretch. It's rayon, but it's not stretchy enough like a t-shirt to pop over your head with a band or anything like that. So I made a circle, and mine happens to be about 26.5 inches. And I know that it will comfortably fit over my head, no problem. I also know that I will have enough room to lengthen this neckline like this, to make it more, quote, a boat neck and not reveal my bra straps. That's the one good thing about doing it yourself. You can make sure it's wide enough or not, narrow enough where you don't show those. So I am going to be cutting more of an oval on this neckline for the boat neck, and on the other one it will be a circle. But I will include a website link where you can easily figure out your circumference if you're doing a round neckline. So let's get going. Okay, first thing I needed to do was make kind of a template for my boat neck. And it looks kind of like a boat when you think about it. I measured around my neck and kind of gauged, I don't want it to be right up against my neck, so I needed a little bit of space here. So this is 4 inches, and this is 11.75 inches. So once I got that, I knew that this edge was the 13.25 or whatever I needed for each side to be the full 26.5 inches. So 13.25 on each side. That means 4 inches in between the top and bottom, and 11.75 between each end. This is my neck measurement. You might have to experiment with it, but once you've got this template, then you could do it over and over again. So that is at least done for this part. I've got my fan on because a little tepid up in here. We're going to be using a Pellin product, of course. This was actually the only black Pellin I could find at my local Hoblob. Not the selection I'm used to. but it is a featherweight woven interfacing, fusible interfacing, and we're going to use that to create the neckline, and we're going to do it almost identical to the circles we just did last week. We're going to sew it down to the front of the scarf, cut out the circle or this template, push the interfacing inside, and tack it down around the neckline. And we'll also iron it. That'll make it a little more secure. I was going to serge the edge, but there's no point. This isn't going to fray. So, and once we iron it down, it should be fairly secure as far as being on the fabric, and we stitch it. So let me cut this out first. And I'm also going to add probably about, I don't know, 1/2 inch or better seam allowance around it, because I didn't account for that in my template. Make sure you account for a seam allowance. Okay, we've cut our interfacing out, and I have folded the scarf in half and also folded it in half lengthwise, so it's in quarters essentially. And make sure that the fringe and everything is lined up. You can put pins in it if you need to, just to make sure that the edges are lined up. You want to make it as square and plumb as possible. So now we have it like this. I am going to run an iron over this corner real quick so we can press out the center essentially. And I'm also going to press this, but I'm not going to press this with the iron. This is our iron-on interfacing. But I'm going to fold it in half like this. And I'm going to fold it in half again like this. And this will give us our center mark. Just going to finger press it nice and hard. And that will give us our center mark that we're going to lay over this center mark for our neckline. Okay, I've got my interfacing in the dead center of my scarf. So meeting up with the crosshairs here and the crosshairs on the interfacing piece. And it is pinned to the right side of the fabric with the fusible side of the interfacing up. Because when we turn it out, that fusible side is going to face the inside and be fusible from that point. So there's a couple ways you can do this. If you are not concerned about saving your template, or you want to trace it to another piece, a more permanent piece, then you can lay this down, again, meeting your center points, the crosshairs as I call them, and pin it down and simply sew on top of your tracing paper, because you can just tear this stuff off. So it is not a problem. If you want to save it and trace around it, you can do that as well. And I did trace around mine. The only problem with that was it was just, I don't know, it's loose paper. It's kind of challenging. So I think this way will be better for me. I don't mind redrawing another template. So I'm going to sew around the edge of my paper and then just tear it off. And that will give me the perfect shape for my neckline. Okay, we're going to sew around the edge of our white template, and I'm just going to use the standard 2.5 inch or 2.5 millimeter stitch. And once we go all the way around, then we'll concern ourselves with cutting out the center. Okay, we're going to do this just like we did. I keep saying that, but you know what I'm talking about. If you watched last week's video, we're going to do it just like we did last week, where we're going to cut out this center that's in the middle of the stitching that we did. So make sure, absolutely 100% sure, that you don't have more than one layer under here before you make your initial cut. And then we're just going to cut over. And I'm going to leave probably maybe about a 1/4 inch on the edge here around the stitching. So just want to show y'all, just cutting out our center circle, or in this case our boat shape. And once I cut it out, I'll go back and I'll clip it, not with the pinking shears but by hand. Again, make sure there's nothing behind it there. Okay, so I will come back when we've turned it inside out, or turned this edge to the inside or the wrong side of the scarf, and we're going to stitch it down. First, we're going to iron it though. Fusible for a reason. Okay, we have our boat neck created. Our fusible interfacing has been folded inside and ironed down for a nice crisp finished neckline. And all we're going to do is I'm going to sew probably about maybe a 1/2 inch from the edge here and go all the way around the neck for a nice finished look. And then the only thing we'll have to do is decide how much of an arm we want. It should be pretty simple. Okay, there's nothing that says you can't leave it like this and just use it as something that you throw over your clothes, your bathing suit, your whatever. Wear it kind of like a poncho. I think our neckline turned out really nice. But I personally kind of want to wear it as a blouse kind of thing, kind of like a caftan. So I'm going to sew down the sides here, but I'm going to go with the seam line, or the what would be the hemline, but it's not hemmed, it's just finished. And I'm just going to go down, not all the way, but I'm just going to put a line possibly between here and maybe where my waistline would be, so the rest of the bottom can flow easy. I'm just closing up the side so I can wear it if I want to, you know, without a shirt or whatever. So I think that's about where we're going to start. Probably about where we're end. So I'll tell y'all what that measurement is. I'm going to sew that down on the machine and we will be done. Well, everybody, I think it turned out super cute. I am so ready for a pool party with my little white jeans and my vintage white chains. So it was a super easy project. Once you got that neck thing down, you can make a ton of them. And these are easy to find at the thrift stores. Everybody's getting rid of them eventually. So give it a try. And now that I've worked out the process, I'm going to do a circle collar on this one. Same process though. Just a circle instead of the boat neck. But boat neck, I'm super excited. I can't see my bra straps. think it turned out good. So give it a try. Have some fun with it. Let me know what you think. Like, subscribe, and I will catch y'all on the flip side of our next project.